Today on the Sound Health Podcast.
I had to stay in the street for a while. I on a cardboard and I decided to play to make money. I had 10 stories a day, I can tell you. 10 stories. One of these stories, I met a lady. I was playing on some corner to make pennies.
Yeah.
I used to smoke cigarettes, which was a very bad habit. Thanks God I quit. It's been a while. Yeah, I'm glad. And I'm like, I'm gonna make this money for my sandwich and cigarettes and to buy a beer. This is how I was thinking. I'm 22, 23 years old, and just for me this is like luxury. I'm just happy. I'm in the street. I don't have a house. I don't have anything, but I'm happy. I can play music in the street. I don't care. And this old lady with her granddaughter talks to her in Turkish, and the girl speaks English to me. She's like, my grandma said, you're very, very talented. You should not play here. Nobody's going to give you money here.
Before we get started, I'd like to invite you to take advantage of a free resource I made for you. It's called the Sound Health Newsletter. In it, I share the latest research in music and health. Plus, you'll learn music and wellness exercises that you can use every day to feel your best. Just come visit me at donovanhealth.com to get started today. That's donovanhealth.com. Hey, this is Jim Donovan. Welcome to the Sound Health Podcast. I am so glad you're here. We've got a very special show for you today. Our guest is an incredible musician from Syria with a powerful and moving story about his journey to the United States. I think every person in the U.S. needs to hear this. Please help me welcome Mr. Nashwan Abdullah. So glad to have you here, Nashwan. How are you, man?
Great. Thank you very much. It's an honor for me to be at this podcast. I'm a fan of this podcast. I love it.
You make me feel good. Hey, man, thank you so much. So glad to have you here. You know, you and I ended up on stage a few weeks ago. We ended up on stage at a place called the Coney, a little bar up in Indiana, Pennsylvania, with our friend Chuck Olson, who was on the show just a few weeks ago. And I had heard about you. I knew that you played, but I didn't understand how beautiful it was until you got up there.
Thank you.
And I remember just looking over, I'm like, oh my God, what is going on over there? This is so phenomenal. So Nashwan plays violin, and through the podcast, you're going to be hearing all kinds of his music. We're going to intersperse it through the whole episode, so I'm really glad that we can do that. A couple of days later, I had lunch with Chuck, and I didn't know anything about you, and he was starting to tell me about your story and about how you arrived here in Pennsylvania. And as soon as he told me, I'm like, man, I got to get you on the podcast. People need to hear this story. I think it's really important, and it's very moving. It's very interesting. Now, before we get into that story, I'm really interested to hear, like, what led you to pursue music?
It's a very great question. I grew up having a father who was a poet, and we used to have this gathering of artists, poets, musicians at our house once a week. So since I opened my eyes to this world, and I'm surrounded by all these amazing, passionate art people. They just love life, yet living in poverty, living in very poor neighborhoods, and this is the only way they escape everything. So I grew up being involved in this, and my ears could not ignore the music that was hidden in their poetry. So my father used to read poetry, and then his friend read his poem. It's like a battle. It's like a concerto for me in classical music.
Okay, yeah.
So that's what started me in music. I really wanted to be a musician from their conversations about music, from them. Sometimes they played music. They were like, it was a hobby for them. They were not professional musicians, but that's what started me. And then later, after high school, I had to do that big decision, and I could not leave the violin. It's because whenever I was sad, I played violin. If I'm happy, I play violin. If I'm mad, I play violin. It's part of me. I could not leave it.
Yeah. Do you remember how old you were when you first started understanding some of these conversations that your dad was having with his friends?
Yeah, it took me a long time to really understand it, but now I go back and I understand more. But 8 years old, 7,
Okay.
8, and I asked him, Dad, I want to play music. I want to be a writer. And when I play music, it took us a while to buy me a violin. It was expensive to get.
Sure.
So I got a violin later whenever I was 9 and I started.
Wow. And what kind of instruments did you see? Was this at your house?
Yeah, it's at our house I grew up in, whenever I was very young, in Homs city. It's in the middle of Syria.
Okay.
Very, very modest, beautiful city. The instruments I saw were like oud instrument. It's like lute.
Like a stringed instrument.
Yeah.
Guitarish.
Yeah, it's like guitar, closer to lute. It has 5 double strings.
Okay.
In Syria, most of them are made from walnut wood, from walnut tree wood. And then I saw some violin, but not a lot of violin, not as much as oud and guitar, actually.
So these are the instruments that when people gather at the house, now they use these, but are there songs, like similar songs that people sing, like traditional folk songs, or is it songs that they've written?
It's actually traditional songs. Most of it is traditional songs, especially the Lebanese and Egyptian school.
Okay.
Most of the Arabic region, the Middle Eastern Arabic region music, is still affected by the classical Egyptian music school, like Kulthum and Abdul Halim Hafiz, his name Abdul Halim Hafiz, these big, and Abdul Wahab.
Okay.
These are the 3 biggest classical. It's like opera in like Renaissance.
You know, you're saying this, and I'm remembering back in 1995, my old band toured with Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, and they went out on this tour called the Unleaded Tour, and they brought with them a 30-piece Egyptian orchestra. I don't know if you know this guy, Hussam Ramzi.
Hussam Ramzi, yeah.
Yeah, so it was him.
Wow.
And all these guys, and they were the most fun guys I've ever been around. They loved life, and they were smiling the entire time. So was I, because we're on tour with freaking Robert Plant.
That's awesome.
But they played with them every night, and they did all these acoustic versions of their songs with this Egyptian orchestra. So it was just the coolest thing I'd ever seen. But as you started to mention that, I just rang that bell in my head, like, oh wow, I've seen a little bit of this. I'm not super familiar with it, but I loved it.
It's the in the Middle East is the most famous, let's say, most common thing to hear is Kulthum. At night, especially Kulthum, people listen, and Fairuz in the morning, another singer from Lebanon. So Lebanese school, Egyptian school.
Interesting. So those schools really have like branches throughout Middle East.
These are the classical Middle Eastern Arabic music.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad to know that. This is a good education for me. Now, when people are playing in their homes, do they bring drums too, or is that too loud for the homes?
The most famous rhythmic instrument in the Middle East, we'll say in the house, it's 2. We'll say 2.
Okay.
Darbuka,
yeah.
and the rak.
Okay, yeah.
Rak. It's like a tambourine.
Like a tambourine, so small frame drum tambourine. Yeah, so they're smaller, but pretty loud too.
Yeah, because they make the metal pieces are more, and they make it from brass, I think, in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And it's different from Syria to Turkey to Egypt to. It's crazy. You just travel a couple hours and the same instrument looks totally different.
That's interesting. I know that in West Africa, a lot of my teachers come from there, how it's the same kind of thing. You can go, from one neighborhood to another, and there's different instruments. It could be a different language altogether, different songs. That's cool that it's kind of spread out that way through your region as well. Now, you have the benefit of being steeped in your own tradition back home. And then you came to America. I know that you studied at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. And what I'm wondering about is, so back home, how do people use music for their own well-being?
That's like a very, very important big question. Thank you for asking me that.
Yeah.
And it has multiple parts. I was thinking about this the other day, about my own well-being as a musician and how I grow up in that area and what I've been taught, how to take care of myself. And I don't remember I've been taught to take care of myself in that way. But whenever I thought about it deeply, it's another culture. Like you said, it's a different culture. I think in the Middle East, there's ceremonies are the big thing,
Okay.
especially weddings and Christmas. We have Christmas, Eid celebrations, and New Year's, and also the spring festivals. It's literally small festival where everybody makes dance circles, hold hands, and dance. It's great. And in my village, we used to make a big fire. We make a big fire and we dance. We just dance. Everybody hold hands and dance. That's the biggest thing. And the other part, we just talked about it before. And that's before. So I would say before 2011, before the war happened and before all the instability that's happening in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So guys go to the cafes, to coffee shops where they smoke hookah and they drink very, very dark Arabic or Turkish coffee and they listen to Kulthum. This is when they are resting from the day. So they go and they have everybody around a big radio and they listen to Kulthum. And I give it an example as everybody listened to Billie Holiday back in the day, or Ella Fitzgerald.
Right.
And everybody is just enjoying the beautiful sound of Kulthum. And that's for them at night to rest. That's like, don't talk. Kulthum is singing now. Same in the morning is Fayrouz. Fayrouz is a Lebanese singer. She's still alive. She's amazing. And that's the music of morning. You want to wake up, you listen to Fayrouz.
Wow.
So this is their well-being. Like, you don't talk. Now Fayrouz is in the car, in the taxi, in the coffee shops, in the hotel. Everybody listening to Fayrouz. Everybody know her songs. That's well-being through listening to music. This is how I can break it.
Yeah. Is it like it kind of helps them set up the day? Like in the morning, they listen to her, and it helps set the day. And then in the evening, kind of the opposite. It helps to wind down from the day.
Exactly. It's like no morning without Fayrouz, no evening with no Kulthum.
That's amazing.
It's just these like standards for them. And I would say that was very big in the 70s and 80s. Huge.
Now, is this across Syria or even more places?
In the Middle East, I would say. In Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, Egypt, Libya, all the area.
To grow up and be the music of morning. What a goal, right?
Everybody listen to this. Yeah. We grow up knowing the songs. We just know them.
And it's a commonality that you all have.
Exactly.
You know, no matter what country you're in, like that's something you agree on, yeah?
Yeah, and it's these singers made their countries famous even. Like, oh, you're from Lebanon, Fayrouz. Coffee of the morning, Fayrouz. Or like Kulthum, hookah at night. Yeah, I can't, like, that's a very cultural common thing.
Like an ambassador, like a musical ambassador. That's
Absolutely.
beautiful. I love that. So people get together, they dance, they have music that helps them set their day, music to wind down. During your celebrations, like for Christmas or for New Year's, is the music different during those times? Like, are there different songs? How does that work?
I would say what I grow up on is the same songs of Frank Sinatra.
Oh, wow.
And Dean Martin, but it's in Arabic. It's in Arabic. And there's the communal music. That's a different thing.
Okay.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's talk about that. I want to hear about it because I don't know anything about it.
So I'm studying music. I started my school 2009, studying music education in Homs city. It's like Central University in Syria. And I'm seeing everybody want to play Turkish style. Everyone play Iraqi style or like Persian music style, Western, jazz, African. Nobody want to play Syrian music. Where is the Syrian?
Yeah.
Is these guys really playing Syrian? And I asked a couple of my very good teachers, and one of them mentioned to me what's called Syriac music. It's
Syriac.
which refers to the big Syria. The big old Syria is all this region. All these countries were called Syria back in the day. And when I'm in a deep conversations with my fellows here in America, I tell them Syria was the USA of the ancient ages. Everybody went to Syria from all over the world.
Yeah.
Like they even seeked refuge in Syria. A lot of people from Armenia, Azerbaijan, whatever it's called, Turkey now, Europe, everywhere. What is Syriac music? Syriac music is from the old Syrian nation who speak Aramic language.
Okay.
And it's based on maqam music. Maqam music is the Arabic old ancient music. It's based on 8 scale systems, eight different scales, and from each scale we take another scale, on and on and on. And it's sang in church.
Okay.
Syriac music is really awesome, and I will send you some links. Links to hear.
I wonder if it would be okay to post a little bit in the podcast just so people can get a taste of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I have ready 2-3 links for the podcast.
We'll definitely include that so people can hear that.
And one of the most important composers is called Nuri Skander.
Okay.
Nuri Skander is, I would say he's the only person who you can say he has a Syrian identity music. Like this is Syrian identity.
Yeah.
And you can hear it in Kurdish music.
Okay.
It's northern Syria. Now it's moved to northern Syria, northern east, northern west of Syria. That's Syriac music.
And it kind of reminds me of the little bit that I know of music from India, is that there are that kind of old classical music, and they have ragas, and they've got the particular scales, even like music for the morning and music for the evening. Yet it's wildly different sounding, with the tonality of their instruments and all the different ways that they sing and the ways that they think about rhythm, like completely different. But the concept sort of seems similar, in a way, of having certain scales, and then from those other scales come.
You take another scale. It's like it's like math. As I talk with my friends. Something I did not mention about Syriac music is mostly chanted. It's choral music.
Choral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and the interesting thing when you hear it, so even me as Syrian, I did not grow up listening to Syriac music.
Yeah.
Because there's a Syriac church even, like there's multiple churches in Syria, million church. But then one of these called Syriac church, and they speak Aramic. They speak the language 5,000 years old, 6,000 years old. And I went to one of their churches, and I don't speak the language, but you will have goosebumps listening to them. You feel like somebody brought you a record disc from 6,000 years ago. You can feel it. You can feel it. It's amazing.
I think about that. Like, how strong must music like that be to last 6,000 years?
Extremely strong.
Yeah. So it's all vocal music.
It's all vocal music.
Interesting.
And it's played on these instruments. Oud, we talked about it.
Yep, oud.
We have qanun. Qanun is like santur.
Yes, so like a dulcimer, we would know in the United States.
Dulcimer, exactly. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah. And bozok, which is like oud, but smaller with a very...
like a long neck.
The long neck instrument.
And the stringed instrument.
Three doubled instrument. This is amazing instrument, one of my favorite. Of course, nai, which is the flute, the old flute that made from wood.
Yep.
And rik.
The rik. Yep.
Rik and darbuka. Any instrument can play the maqam music, which is built on quarter steps.
Okay.
So maqam music is not built on half steps. It's built on quarter steps. So we have, for example, E quarter sharp or E quarter flat.
Yeah. So if you're looking at a piano, there would be extra notes between each of those keys if you're trying to understand this from outside there.
Mm-hmm. It's totally different from the well-tempered system. And basically, we call it heterophony. Nobody is tuned with anybody else.
Heterophony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody is tuned with anybody else.
Wow.
Everybody tuned with their own A or with their own way, and they play together. Yeah, they play together. They play different fingerings on their string instruments.
Oh my God.
Different technique with the wind instrument. Different way to do the rhythm on the rhythmic instrument. Yet they sound. Whenever you hear all this beautiful chaos together, it's beautiful.
And it being uncontrolled and still lasting 6,000 years and going is amazing.
Yeah, it speaks something about
It
it.
speaks something that's powerful. I can't wait to really dig into that. That sounds beautiful. When they're singing, are there certain subjects they're singing, or is it just more like the divine names, or is it
No, it's
combination?
awesome question. They sing mostly traditional.
Okay.
Traditional, but stuff like stories. One of these songs I was listening today, this girl, it's like Romeo and Juliet. You know?
Okay.
She loved this guy from the other neighborhood. Her family does not want her to go with, and she's crying about him, and then she escape and go with him, something like this. And there's war stories, and of course there's the worshiping, enchanting for God and for the universe.
Yeah, so almost a way to teach people, some of the legends, some of the life stories that have been passed down through the ages, and maybe passing on some wisdom through
Exactly.
these. Yeah, great. That's so interesting. I'm glad to know this. Now, you were talking a little bit before about your father, who's a poet, and we were looked together online today through some different pieces, and you had sent me one of his poems, and I was wondering if you wouldn't mind reading one.
Absolutely.
And also tell us his name again.
My father's name is Asaf Abdullah.
Yeah.
Asaf means the old, very strong tree. Asaf is a tree. It's a short tree, but the roots of Asaf, it's so deep in the rocks.
Yeah.
That's what his name means, and he was this strong. So I sent you multiple. I will read the last one. So I've been translating his poetry, my father's poetry, with my great friend, Dr. Wesley McMaster.
Oh, great.
He's an English professor at Carson Newman University in Tennessee.
I can't wait to read it.
Would you like to read it, or you want me to read it?
I would like you to read the.
Okay,
Yeah, that's more appropriate. I think.
Okay, it's called "What the Poem Told Me." So he's imagining him talking to a poem. What the poem told me. I have quit dancing, talking at saloons. I have no more need for makeup. I'm going into the woods with God. I want to cover my face with the grass, dew, sand, river stones. There, I want to find a prophet, touch his face. I want to visit the dreams of a young woman, become part of her stories. This is one page from the work we did. This is the first time we published that.
Oh my God, that's so fantastic! Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
I remember reading it, and I got goosebumps this afternoon. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to hear you read this. And when that comes out, I'm sure this is probably a big work for you.
Yeah, we're trying to translate all of his work, and now we're searching for internship, scholarship, support to translate the entire book and publish it. So
That's great. Well, if you're listening out there and you speak, is the language in Syria Syrian?
Arabic.
Arabic, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you speak that, we're looking for some translators who can help out with this project. You never know who's listening.
exactly.
It's a beautiful thing. Well, I can't wait to read it when it comes out. Maybe we can come back and talk about it, because it's very important.
Thank you.
So, what else can you tell me about your father? Seems like he was an important figure obviously he's an important figure in your life, but also an important figure who exposed you to creativity in the first place, and to that way of thinking. What else can you tell us about him?
I remember the first day where I asked him about my name, and I'm 5 years old. And Dad, why you named me Nashwan? Like my friends at school, they're just some of them making fun of my name. They never heard it. It's weird. He's like, son, Nashwan was a king. He was a poet, and he was always holding a wine bottle. He's drunk. Nashwan is he's a drunk king, and he's a poet, so he's that very tipsy, happy poet. And I named you like this. It's a beautiful, special name. So enjoy it and tell this story to your friend and tell them what do you know about your names, for example.
Yeah.
And from that moment, I still remember. I'm Nashwan, and I gotta do something. I have a mission, and I'm on it.
Yeah.
So I know my father that day, him giving me support and pushing me to do whatever I want, especially after I finished high school. Well, I don't have kids, and I don't know how after you finish high school in the United States, is that you deal with your family, with your kids. It's a very, very big subject, I think.
It is. We all hope that they, not only that they do something that they love, but that they can support themselves. Probably just like anywhere in the world, we want them to take that next step into adulthood.
It's big challenging, especially in America. There's a lot going on.
Isn't there? There's all kinds of stuff going on, and yet it seems so small in comparison to what's going on back at your home.
Yes. There was a lot of. I'm lucky to be here now.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
We would be remiss if we didn't just acknowledge that there's still an awful war happening back home. There is still tremendous suffering. And I know from what Chuck had told me that you've lost some people that were very close to you, and I'm so sorry for that, first of all. I'm wondering, this has been since 2014 or before, 2011?
When I left?
How long has this war been going on? When did it start?
War in Syria, 2011.
2011. So we're talking 9 years of just awfulness. When you were there, or even, I'm sure even since you've not been there, what are some ways people use music to help them cope with all the things that go along with being in war zones? I mean, we're talking about grief, we're talking about anxiety and, trauma. Like it's, worse than I wish anyone in the world ever had to experience. What are some things you've seen with how people use music to help them?
So, as we said before, officially the war started 2011. The entire region of the Middle East been going in multiple wars since I was 1 year old, before I was born. It all has takes effect on the people's life. So it affects everything they do. Simple life stuff we have here. Simple, like having water. You can just go shower 3 times a day. You don't worry. You cannot do that there.
Yeah.
You just, I have electricity. No, that does not work. Even before war, it does not work like that. 2011, I left Syria in 2015, so I got to stay in the war between 2011 and 2015, which the war was really nasty, big.
Yeah.
It's the start, it's young, everybody confused, scared, got crazy. People start to do something very, very important, I noticed. We did these open mic nights.
Okay.
They call it in Syria social gathering or cultural gathering. They rent this cafe once a week, and everybody go. Whoever know how to play music, they play music. Whoever have a poem, they read it. Whoever have a story, they say it. And people met there once a week where I used to live in place called Sahnaya area between it's southern Damascus, southern suburb of Damascus, which was very safer than other places, to be honest. These gatherings taught me taught me a lot, taught me how to be a performer, actual performer.
Yeah.
And people used them to escape. Some people bring their wine with them. So people in Syria, by the way, they drink wine. Not everybody does not drink wine. So that's something also to know if somebody is hearing us. And people in Syria really know how to dance and live. They are like me and you, like everybody.
Yeah.
So people take wine with them, take tea with them, coffee, smoke cigarettes, take water, whatever they want, and they take their families and they go to these places, escaping everything happening, and some of them risking their life to get to this place.
Wow.
That's one of the things I witnessed personally, music-wise.
So it's like they use that once a week time just to feel normal again?
Exactly.
Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To talk, to see other people, to just communicate, to remember that they're still humans.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting at home, no electricity, because of the war, no water, no food, and then you see other people, you can just talk, you can reveal what you're feeling. And that was the beginning. It was not that rough.
Yeah.
After 2015, after I left, it got way more rough. I also I've been doing research all the time. I'm watching what's happening in Syrian music scene, theater. I love theater.
Yeah.
And TV, everything. Lately, after ISIS was defeated that area, there's more safe areas. There's more life. Not that much, but there's more life. So people are doing more activities. You will see more music happening in the country. The big thing that happened, the big exposure of musicians and artists is like me. The people who left and got the chance, they got another chance to be like, hey, this is my music. This is my story. This is my film. And especially in Europe, there's a lot of Syrians. In Germany, and there's many bands. There's symphonies, multiple Syrian symphonies, traditional and classical, and mixed between them. That's what I think was great. It's to take multiple groups of talented people and spread them around the world. It's very important. And that's what I'm trying not to get out of the main subject, but
This is the subject. It's good.
Looking at it lately, because first couple of years for me in America, I'm still in Syria. And my body is here, but I'm there.
Your mind is there.
Yeah, it took me a while to be here. It took me a while.
Yeah, it's such a different change for you. I can't even come close to imagining the change.
It's tough, and I still think there's people here living also their own suffering, their own poverty.
Yes.
And it might, I did not live it here, to be honest, so I cannot say, but I would think there's some people here are living as tough as it's in Syria.
It's true. There's no shortage of suffering wherever we go. And what I've learned is even people that have lots of wealth suffer their own suffering. And I know people that don't have much that suffer less than some of those folks. And so it's just a strange thing.
I learned it the hard way. I was complaining. I go to open mic nights in Indiana, PA, and there's an open mic night at some place I'm playing, drinking beer, talking. I used to complain a lot at the beginning of my me being here. I was talking to a friend, how you don't know how tough it is in Syria, and then somebody was like, I agree with you, but there's some people really here are having a rough time.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and they are right. It's I should be considerate to whoever also is suffering here, so it does not happen what happened in my country, in this country. That's very big, to see who really need help here, so it does not turn out to be like other places.
It's true. It's true. And that's, it's part of what I hope to do is to help alleviate suffering. From having suffered a lot, that it's one of the best uses of my time. And I see that in you, and I admire that and appreciate that. Now, to get here, I heard from Chuck, we had this conversation. He just gave me a little bit about your journey from getting out of the war zone in Syria to the United States. Can you tell us a little bit of that story? I would love to hear that.
Absolutely. Yeah, Chuck is amazing. Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know how he told you the story.
He's the master connector of people. He's very good at
it. I had this dream since I was growing up. This is what's happened. I have two brothers. They are Hazim and Rasim. The oldest brother I have is 10 years older than me. The other one is 9 years older than me. And that's a very big age difference. So they are my teachers, and they were obsessed of learning English and movies. Both of them, one of them studied theater, and the other one studied dancing. He's a dancer, and then studied filming. Both of them work in directors and theater and
wow.
and art. And they are watching these movies. I'm not allowed to stay up after 8:30. I'm a little kid. So they used to sneak me for 1 extra hour to watch some of these shows. And this is how I learned English, from watching movies and then watching the subtitle.
Oh, wow.
And here I'm like, I want to be there. I love this.
Do you remember any of the movies?
I watched a lot of movies, yeah. I would say Dances with the Wolves.
Okay, Kevin Costner, sure.
Yeah, Kevin Costner. Friends. That's Friends.
That's great.
The Magic Car, something called Magic Car. It's from the 80s.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, man.
All 80s and 90s, you can say, shows. But movies, I remember watching The Matrix, 1999.
Yeah.
I'm a kid, 1999, I was 7 years old. It changed my life. I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
Wow. That's how you learned English.
Yeah, watching movies. Then I removed start buying CDs whenever the CDs were something.
Yeah.
And we did not even have DVDs in Syria at that time. And you watch the movies, and then you can remove subtitle, Arabic subtitle, and then you can put English subtitle. And I challenged myself, one more movie and learn English. I grew up wanting to come to here. Why? I don't know, to be honest. It's just, I felt it. I felt like this is a great place. Most likely, I felt like I can be me. I can be me more. I'm not worried about what others gonna say.
Yeah.
War happened. Of course, it gave me more push to decide to leave. All my friends left the country. A lot of my friends die in the war. My father died in 2013, changed my life. And then my mom, my biggest supporter, she told me, you can leave, you don't have to stay.
Yeah.
Because if you don't leave, something else might happen. It's war, you don't know. Take your dreams with you and go do it. She gave me great support. I left to Turkey. That was after I finished my Bachelor of Music Education. I studied Diploma of Music in Damascus University. I did not finish it. I could not.
Yeah.
And I went to Turkey, to Istanbul. I did not want to go to Turkey. What they teach you in books, in multiple places, does not have to do anything with the other place. So whatever we got taught in those books was not totally right about other places. I went with the idea of I'm not going to a nice place, and it was really nice. I did not speak Turkish, and in Turkey they don't speak English.
Mm-hmm.
We are Turkish. They are very
nationalistic.
Very nationalistic.
Yep.
Very national. They don't want to speak. Even they speak English, they don't want to speak English. So I arrive at the Turk airport, Nobody speaks English. Go. I got like news. Like I'm watching Facebook where people go and people chit chat here and there. And I went to. It's a very big country. I went to the downtown of the city. I have no friend. I don't have a lot of money. I have basically just to eat maybe. I have violin and a backpack and my passport in this backpack. And once I leave the bus, I lose it.
Oh no.
It has my money, only money I have, passport, and I have my album picture. Everything I have in my life is in that picture album. But since I was a kid, my father picture was like, this is the best thing in my life. And I lost it. I did not care about it. I was crying, I started running.
Oh.
I was astonished. I'm walking in the streets. I forgot my bag. It's just gone. Was it stolen? I don't know. It's a very big city. There's like over 15 million people in Istanbul. And I start running back. I don't know where I'm running. I don't know where the streets. I'm just lost. And I get to the place I was at. Just my feet took me there. And there's two guys. They're really Turkish. Like the Turkish mustache is a very round, big mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are smoking Turkish cigarettes. And they look at me and they call me with my last name. Abdullah? Like my last name. I'm like, shake my head. And yes, I'm like, point at my bag. And just collapsed. Start crying. That was my first day in Istanbul.
Oh my God.
I had to stay in the street for a while. I'm on a cardboard. And I decided to play to make money. I had 10 stories a day, I can tell you. 10 stories. One of these stories, I met a lady. I was playing on some corner to make pennies.
Yeah.
I used to smoke cigarettes, which was a very bad habit. Thanks God I quit. It's been a while.
Good.
Yeah, I'm glad. And I'm like, I'm going to make this money for my sandwich and cigarettes and to buy a beer. This is how I was thinking. I'm 22, 23 years old, and just for me this is like luxury. I'm just happy. I'm in the street. I don't have a house. I don't have anything, but I'm happy. I can play music in the street. I don't care. And this old lady with her granddaughter talks to her in Turkish, and the girl speaks English to me. She's like, my grandma said, you're very, very talented. You should not play here. Nobody's going to give you money here. You should go to the street of musicians. And then I went to that street, and I met a lot of musicians. I started playing and making more money. I met people who took me to their apartment to be their roommate. Extremely expensive for me that time.
Yeah.
It was like, if you tell me $10, I'll open my eyes like, wow, what are you talking about?
Right.
$10. And yeah, I stayed 3 months in Istanbul. It changed my life. Huge, big step.
Yeah.
I was not loving it at the moment till I left. I knew how important it was.
Aha.
Whenever I was coming on my way to America, I was like, Turkey! Oh my God, it was amazing. I met people from Germany, Russia, France, China, from the west and to the east of the world. I met a lot of them. I played with gypsies, played with a great guy. His name is Christos. He's from Greece. Still my friend. I'm writing some story about him now, about me and him, how we met.
Yeah.
And he taught me how to breathe.
Aha.
Christos met me on third day. Short guy in his mid-60s. Very big hat for the sun. It was very sunny. And he has a small ukulele. I'm playing violin very seriously. Like very sad, serious music. He jumped with me, started playing happily. And I welcomed him. Usually when buskers in Turkey, they are not very welcoming. Because don't take my spot. This is my living.
Yeah.
This is how I'm like, let's play together. I started playing with him. He noticed that I'm not breathing well. Of course I'm not breathing well, you know what I mean?
After all that, yeah.
He's like, you don't worry, all what you need is to breathe breathing good will fix all your problems. He's sitting next to me and he's rolling a cigarette, teaching me about breathing, you know? So, you know what I'm saying? I'm judging him in my mind. I'm like, you're teaching me how to breathe and you're rolling a cigarette. He's like, look, I'm 60 something and I just breathe. Even after I smoke a cigarette, but I know it's not a big deal just to breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe in and out. And he felt my anxiety. And he was just touring from Greece because they are neighbors with Turkey. He's just making money and meeting people.
Yeah.
Played for 2 days. Taught me a lot of things about breathing and about philosophy in life. And for me, Christos does not exist. So he's a real person.
Right.
But he's not. I think the universe, the nature, something sent him to me to take care of me those 2 days, to put me on my feet and know where I am. And it was awesome. That's the story I can share.
Yeah. It sounds like you needed to go there.
Yeah.
That needed to be the first stop.
It was great. And, everything he said made sense for me because I'm anxious. I'm chaos around me. A lot of people walking, going, cops, refugees, war. I talk to my family back in Syria. What is going on? It's a lot going on. Like this, you have to balance this. So you need to breathe, son. So he's telling me I need to breathe. I start breathing. My life got a little bit better.
And at what point were you able to get from Turkey? Did you come straight to the States after that?
I came straight to the States, immediately to Pittsburgh. It was very shocking experience also.
I bet.
Syria, Turkey, Pittsburgh. Very different.
Yeah.
So I was applying to the visa to come.
Yeah.
I got a scholarship from IUP, and I got linked to IUP through something called International Institute of Education.
Okay.
I don't know
and
if
this is
still
Indiana University of Pennsylvania.
Of Pennsylvania. I'm in the process, and everybody's telling me you're not gonna get accepted. You were Syrian, born in Yemen.
It's a lot of strikes against you.
2015 in Turkey, no money. You wanna get the second most tough visa in the world or something? The most tough visa in the world. You're never gonna. People mocking me like, let's go, because guys used to go and still escape from Turkey to Greece to get refugee status there. And I'm like, no, I want to hang out to my dreams a little bit. I speak English well. I was not that good in English. I speak English, I understand English, I know how to write in English, and I got this scholarship, and I'll give it a chance, even though if I had to play in the street 10 hours a day. So I decided to go to the street every day. I wake up 8, 9, I eat my simple food that I bought from the grocery store, go to the street, play 10 to 12 hours a street to make my living, to make sure I can do other stuff. So I need this money to eat, to take the bus, to pay for, like, I had a phone later, to get a phone. And I looked like a big beard, fuzzy hair, everything. One of these days, person stopped, talk to me. You play nicely. What are you doing here? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to America. They're like, oh, really? Seriously? They speak in English. They're American. And it turned out that they know somebody who works somewhere in the American embassy or consular, and they got my phone number. They were like, how are you going to go to America? They thought I'm crazy or something. I'm like, well, I got this scholarship, and I showed them it was on my phone. I'm like, look at it. And I'm excited talking to them. I'd not even ask for help. They wanted to help me. You know, it's like the universe want me to go somewhere. And I get email from this person. I'm not going to mention the name.
No.
And they were like, let's meet, drink coffee. I don't know I don't know anything. I go to meet this person, and I just think they are somebody who's not going to help me.
Yeah.
I believe in my work, to be honest. I believe that if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. I have to go through the rocks to do it. This is how I was.
Yeah.
Of course, we need help sometimes. People need help. I realized that later. And this person drink coffee with me, ask me, what does your father do? It's an interview. I don't know. It's an interview. I'm just being me. And they are drink. And I went to. They told me to meet them at this fancy hotel. And I look. My beard is crazy. And I went. I like rented something to wear. I don't have good clothes to wear. I shaved at home to look nice because I'm like street music. I'm on the street 12 hours a day. You know. How I'm gonna meet them at that fancy hotel like this. Go, talk to them, tell them my story, and they were shocked. They were like, I think my boss will be interested in you. Keep in touch. Couple weeks, I get another email. My boss wanna meet you. I don't know who was the boss, but the boss got me the visa. You know, somebody big who works in the embassy.
That's incredible.
I got recommendation for visa. I did not get the visa. It's called recommendation. For like whenever they see somebody, a musician or an artist or a scientist or somebody have talent or nice people who come here, like they are no harm,
right.
They recommend them for visa. So right. I got a paper say this person is recommended for visa, which big support to get the visa. And I was just being honest. I just said my story and they were nice to me, and I'm lucky to be here. I am now in Pittsburgh.
Here you are, and here we are at this table.
Yes, here we are. I'm with Jim Donovan, so I'm so lucky to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh man, I feel equally as lucky.
Thank you.
And what an amazing story. And it's just amazing how in life sometimes these people show up and seemingly for no reason, like almost like they drop out of the sky into your life, and then they leave you with something critical, and then they're not there anymore. Just like that. I learned. I don't know what to call those things, but I've had those kinds of things too, and I've just learned just to be grateful for it. You know,
yeah.
My analyzing mind wants to try to figure it out, but I don't know that really helps anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beyond us. It's something. Yeah, it's great. And I think my wife tell me, you were just being honest.
Yeah.
I was just being honest to them. And they did it it's like they did it the legal way. You know, it's like it's just a recommendation for a visa.
Right.
So they see somebody who got some potential, they meet them, they make their research about them, and then if they think they are qualified, they just do it. And I was one of these guys.
And I'm not surprised to hear you play. Anyone who can appreciate music hears that there's a purity in there. There's a beauty in it, and you're serious. You take pride in what you do, and you can tell that, you know, you've been touching that violin for a long time, and you've been sitting with it, and it's a part of you. That's rare in our world. We have a lot of people that are hacks at things or don't put as much care into it. But when I hear you play, like your whole self is coming out of that violin, and that's...
Playing with you made it way bigger and different.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. When this podcast airs, I'm going to play a piece of yours, that one that's called Trio Number 1 for piano, violin, and bass. So as we talk right now, that music's going to be playing right underneath of this interview. Can you tell us a little bit about that piece? Like, what was the inspiration? What were you thinking about as you created it?
So this trio called also Dujena. Dujena is the name of Dujena is the name of my mom.
Oh, okay.
So I was inspired by my mom, but my mom here is not just my mom, it's all the moms. My mom is the mothers of all the desperate kids who are trying to get somewhere, and they are scared and they are alone. And this is the lullaby she's singing. I'm assuming she's singing. It was not a lullaby she's singing to me, but I used my imagination. And you can see I used some lullaby she used to sing to me, and I put it in this shape. Ba, ba, da, 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 da. And I built that trio upon that lullaby. So she's singing to her kid, don't worry, everything is gonna be fine. Everything is gonna be fine. She's repeating that everything is gonna be fine till
That's
they
beautiful.
sleep.
So when you create, is that kind of your regular process? Like you start with a feeling, and then there's from that is maybe the main melody, and then from that you build. Is that kind of how it goes for you, or is it different?
No, I started like this, and then I realized if I just wanna relay on just my feeling, sometimes I might not feel good all the time, or not feel. Sometimes I might be tired or exhausted because life is crazy. So I started like this. Recently, I'm putting more thoughts, or I'm making thoughts equal to feelings.
Okay.
So I bring a subject. Like now I'm working on my father's poetry. I'm making it music. And I pick a story, and I imagine how this is going to be in music. And each word by word, I create it as a music. Each word, it's a note. And how I feel the lyrics or the feeling going, I take the music and I build this. I pave the road and the bridge to the main subject and then to the ending. Sometimes endings are nice, sometimes are not.
Yeah. So as you translate your father's poetry, is it that the music will live underneath someone speaking the poetry out loud? Is that what you're thinking, or something different?
Something different. I just make the words to music.
I see.
What I feel from the poetry, I make music. Because I believe in that music is independent.
Yeah.
Like, lyrics are amazing, but also music can talk sometimes. And the magic about music, that every one of us can perceive it differently with no lyrics. While with lyrics, we're going to have one story, which is amazing.
Right.
But we're going to have one story with lyrics. While with no lyrics, you can see a sun, I can see a sea, somebody else can see anything else they want to see.
And they get to become a part of their own creation along with you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. That's
I love it
beautiful.
too.
When eventually you release these works of your father's, will you release them side by side? So this music that came from it, and
Yes.
that, like
Yes,
they'll
with
be
the
like
readings, with the translated poetry, and that would be an honor for me. It's great. I'm working on it now, but yeah, I want to be heard. I want to be here. This is why I came to Pittsburgh.
to be heard. Yeah.
To be heard. To be heard.
That's okay.
I want to be heard, and this is very important for me. It's very deep, personal, coming from my experience, real people. And I want to share it with everybody. I want to share it with Pittsburgh. So,
Yeah. Well, that's part of my hope here, is that we start that process, and we're sharing this in Pittsburgh, but we're sharing this all over the world too. People all over the world listen to Sound Health, and I really can't wait for people to get to know you better, because the more you know, the more you love this guy. It's such richness in this.
thank you.
So before I let you go here, so now that you've realized the dream of coming to America and you've studied here, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Like if you have your way, what do you see yourself doing? What's next for you, do you think?
It's a very, very, very big question. Where I see myself is upon what work I put. And I see myself playing with the best amazing musicians in the world, to all people, to everybody.
Yeah.
I see myself expressing what I came here to do, of course, professionally and very simple, without makeup, no extra makeup, just the way it is, to the people, to everybody.
Like pure.
Pure, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll have my music being there. I'm gonna make it. I'm here to do it, and I will do it. And as I said, I'm here to be heard, and I think I'm so thankful for giving me the chance to be here and to talk with you. I did not know who's Jim Donovan when I was in Syria, but when I came to America, I know who's Jim Donovan. And you giving me this chance. And we grow up listening to music you created. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Me being here, that's huge. And my folks back home, my brother, my other brother is in China. My mom will be so proud. And I'm really here to do something, not just to talk. And I will do it.
Yeah, and I'd even like say back to you, you're already doing it. Like it's already happening.
I hope so.
It's the fact that you are here and that you are making music, the seeds of it are happening. I've watched it. I've seen it. I've seen your YouTube videos. Like it's happening. It's very exciting. So to help this a little more, can you tell us or tell the listeners out there, what are some ways they can get in touch with you? And I'll make sure I include all those links in our show notes on donovanhealth.com.
I'm active on Facebook.
Facebook, okay.
I have a music page, Nashwan Abdullah. You see my picture holding a violin. I have a YouTube channel called The Nash. Don't ask me why, it's The Nash. I'm The Nash. They call me Nash, so I decided to call it The Nash. And there's SoundCloud for me, also Nashwan Abdullah. This is where I'm active right now. I'm working on a very serious website. This is why I don't have a website now. I had a website, I just removed it because I'm fixing the website. And I will release it on my other social medias, such as Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, also nash.violin.
And I'll make sure when this episode comes out in a few weeks that I'll connect all of those socials on my socials, which is Jim Donovan Sound Health on Facebook, and then also on donovanhealth.com. We'll include all these things in the show notes there, and you'll make sure that everyone's connected with that stuff. Nashwan, really thank you for taking the time to be here today. I know you're busy, got all kinds of good things going on. And I do want to send out a big shout out and lots of love to your family over in Syria. Mama, if you're listening, my name's Jim and I'm your next son. Okay, I want to come over to Syria and see you sometime. And just want to let you know that we're over here and we are thinking about you and we're all praying for peace. Nashwan, thank you very much again.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a great pleasure for me. Wonderful experience. It's life-changing tonight.
Yeah. Well, let's do this again then.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for today. I appreciate you tuning in. Remember to come see us on our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search Jim Donovan Sound Health. Now, before you go, I'd like to let you know about a free resource I made for you. It's called the Sound Health Newsletter. In it, I share the latest research in music and health in an easy-to-understand form. I also share beginner-friendly music and wellness exercises that you can use every day to feel your best. When you sign up, you also get discounts and first access to all of my sound health products and events. Remember, it's completely free. If you'd like it, just visit donovanhealth.com and enter your name and email address, and I'll start sending you new issues right away. While you're on the website, you can also read full transcripts of this show and check out a ton of other valuable resources. If you have any feedback, send me an email to feedback@donovanhealth.com. All the information presented on this show is for educational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Lastly, come and visit me on our Sound Health Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube channels. I'd love to see you there. The Sound Health Podcast is produced by OmniVista Health Learning and Donovan Health Solutions. For Sound Health, this is Jim Donovan. See you next time.